Did you know that the world's largest nonprofit dedicated to older adults, with 38 million members, has an entire initiative driving tech innovation? The AARP's AgeTech Collaborative is empowering AgeTech startups with tailored programming, spotlighting them at the world's most important tech conferences, and even helping them secure funding. I sat down with Aurelie Cornett and Sasha Spellman to bring you the details. Sasha and Aurelie, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, nice to be here.
Thank you for joining. So it would be great if you could start with a short introduction of yourselves and the AgeTech Collaborative.
Yeah, I can start. So hi, everyone. I'm Aurelie Cornett. I'm the Startup Collaboration Director for the AgeTech Collaborative from AARP. So I focus primarily on identifying potential collaboration opportunities for the startups we work with in the AgeTech space, mainly by exploring new trends in the longevity space, but also, and most importantly, building the largest B2B community of investors, so your VC, CVC community, enterprises, test beds, and other businesses that are interested in having an impact on age tech solutions, ultimately helping people live longer, happier, and healthier lifespans. And yeah, I'll turn it over to Sasha, and then we can talk about our organization a little bit more.
Yeah. And hi, I'm Sasha Spellman. And yeah, thanks again, Karen, for having us. I'm the Director of Collaborative Engagement for the AgeTech Collaborative. It's a lot of collaboratives. Essentially, I manage the customer success function for our team. So what we do is cultivate and deliver value to the participants in our ecosystem. That stems from our early stage startups that come through our pitch competitions in our Accelerator program, but also the participants joining from Aurelie side of the house, which are our non-startups of investors, test beds, enterprises, and business services. So I have a team of account managers and a programming manager to make sure our community is getting what they want out of AgeTech Collaborative, but also, finding the resources they need. So our participants have access to a platform that they have access to all year round. And thank you, Karen, for being one of our participants as well. And also access to a community. So we try to empower our participants to stay in the know of the latest in age tech, access, resources like the latest age tech research that AARP may be pushing out. We have year-round virtual programming that we do throughout the year, as well as exclusive content with our blog that we do, as well as we have a newsletter every week and anything else that might come out. And then another key component of what we do is what I like to call like white glove service connections across the ecosystem and community. So really trying to figure out what are those high impact connections that could lead to tangible outcomes. So from a high level, that's my role.
AARP, I think that was the second part of your question, is a nonprofit organization here in the US. We represent the interest of older adults. The social mission is to empower people to choose how they want to live as they age. And more specifically, Sasha and I will sit on the innovation arm of the organization. So essentially, we support the social mission of the company, identifying and focusing on innovation and technology and see where innovation and age tech can fill that gap in helping people live lives. So we aim to make aging easier for everyone. And so Sasha talked a little bit about the ecosystem and all the different things we do for them. But if we had to summarize it into two things, if you will, we go about it in two ways. We're an accelerator program. So Sasha mentioned working with early stage startups. We identify innovative solutions through pitch events organized throughout the year. We accelerate the technology. We have a top-notch age tech accelerator program done virtually 4 times a year, where we essentially help those early stage companies refine their solutions. We leverage the decades of expertise on the 50 plus demographic that we have to help them really build solutions with empathy. And it's really bespoke. We really try to meet them where they're at. So if someone needs more UX design, recommendations or help or assistance, others may need to have more in-depth research and understanding of their audience. So we really try to help them there during those 8 weeks. We do wrap up the 8 weeks with some investment opportunities. It's not automatic, but we do investments in the form of notes, safe notes. The last piece of what we do is the collaboration piece that Sasha talked about, where we bring all those stakeholders, the investors, the startups that graduated from the accelerator, the test beds, and we look for potential collaboration matches, pilots, investments, partnerships, you name it, ultimately launching modern solutions to the marketplace.
Wow, that is so much to unpack. And you fairly recently got back from CES, where the collaborative has like a huge booth and it is really pushing forward the presence of AgeTech startups at CES. And it's arguably the best place to pitch your startup in the world on the world's global stage. What would you say are like the biggest success stories from the past year?
Yeah, I can jump in there. So there's a lot that we're grateful to have had a lot of success in 2024. Generally, I guess holistically, since 2021, we've been very lucky to experience like really incredible growth. Now reached over 570 companies, which I think is really a milestone that's reflecting the demand for age tech solutions and showing that there's larger corporations that are wanting to work with startups in this space. They want to become more knowledgeable in understanding the needs of older adults. And so we're seeing this momentum start to build. So that just the growth of the ecosystem, I think, is a general success. We're seeing a growth in engagement in our community as well. So since Aurelie and her team have done such a great job of bringing on all these amazing non-startups, and then we have our Accelerator team doing a great job vetting and finding the best age tech startups we can find. We've built up, again, my team doing customer success, and we've just seen this growth of connections happening between our participants, both on our platform and then also networking during our live events like CES that you mentioned. We're starting to see participants actively utilize the resources that we're providing. Not that they weren't in the past, but there's just a lot more activity happening on the platform, a lot more just connections generally happening, engaging during our events, speakers raising their hand, wanting to participate in panels and moderate conversations. And then we're doing a lot on our blog as well. And we're seeing that we have an age tech directory on our platform. It's a valuable tool at this point to help make those connections and drive collaboration. So generally, growth and engagement has been a key success. Of the key initiatives and programs, our Accelerator program that Aurelie mentioned continues to be amazing and get really great feedback from the startups that go through that program. So for anyone that's interested that could be listening, I would recommend any startup to apply for one of our pitch events on agetechcollaborative.org. There's an events tab, and that's the first step for any company to be eligible for anything that we do. The Accelerator is kind of the second step after the pitch, and then joining our ecosystem is the third step. But some of the more like unique, impactful projects that we've done throughout the year, we had what we called the Smart Living Showcase with one of our test beds. ThriveWell Tech is a test bed in the collaborative. They help with senior living operators to invest in structure and implement IT and things like that. And so they work with a community locally out of DC called Asbury Communities. And we actually launched a pilot that showcased a 2-bedroom apartment that was equipped with age tech solutions that are part of our portfolio. We support a more connected and secure living environment. So in mid-October, we actually had older adults and residents do group tours through this apartment to engage with the technology, provide their feedback, let us know which technologies are most interesting to them. And, ideally, eventually, some of these solutions will be part of the offerings that Asbury will offer to their residents. So that pilot was cool to see get off the ground. I think we had about 7 or 8 companies be part of that. And that is something that maybe we could grow to other parts of what we do in the next year to come. And then I talked a lot about connections and collaborations throughout the year. We're just also seeing success stories of actual outcomes happening. So, for example, we're always striving to get more pilots off the ground with our test beds and our startups. So one of our startups, AdvoSense, you may be familiar with them. They have sensor technology for incontinence. They piloted with United Church Homes in what was what I think is kind of a novel program. I haven't heard it anywhere else. They're doing a 2-week-long entrepreneur in residence program where the founder actually lives at the senior living community itself and works alongside the frontline staff to, learn what their pain points are, obviously learn from the residents what tech is resonating with them. They get that direct feedback, which is gold for those startups. And so, they were there for 2 weeks. And I believe United Church Homes plans to do that continuously throughout this year of more entrepreneurs coming directly on site with them. So those are some examples that I wanted to share.
That's awesome. And I believe that Brookdale had an entrepreneur in residence program a few years ago.
Amazing.
I'm not sure that's still active though. And that was
yeah.
definitely before COVID.
Yeah, I'm hoping to see more of it. I think it's a great idea.
So basically the way to get into the AgeTech Collaborative is to apply to one of your pitch competitions. What is the eligibility criteria for someone to even be accepted to pitch?
I'm happy to answer this one. So those guidelines are more roughly something we refer to. They're not, a harsh cookie cutter, type of frame. But essentially, we're looking for companies that have a solution in the age tech space. And we define age tech as any product, service, or solution sitting at the nexus of longevity and technology for healthcare. But not only, it can be fintech, it can be AR, VR, it can be mobility, transportation. If you're able to articulate how your solution is impacting the way people can age gracefully and improving their lifespan, it can absolutely fit within the age tech definition. Typically, we like to see companies that have more than a prototype. So products already available to market, some traction. You don't need to have a lot of customers, but one big pilot could also be seen as traction to us. Anything, at the ideation phase might be a little too early for us to consider, not because we don't want to work with them, just they may not be able to take advantage of the resources we put at their disposal. If you're looking for investment stages, roughly seed to Series A, it's been our sweet spot for companies to apply. There is a form. So, if you are not 100% sure whether or not you fit within those guardrails, just feel free to apply. You just follow the prompts, give it a try. We definitely have had companies a little earlier, pre-seed, and others a little bit further along because we believed in the technology. So I would recommend everybody to apply. Many apply. We have a pretty thorough vetting process, but we do look at every single application.
And do companies have to be based in the United States, or are you open to global applicants?
That's a great question. So being a, American organization, we tend to look at, startups that are in the United States or North America. We do have a few startups that are based outside of the US. So as long as you have any operations or a partner or a dealer within North America, we would certainly consider working with you.
Yeah. And I'll just add that sometimes some of our pitches have a little different level of requirements if there's like prize money involved, but most of our pitches are like general open mic themed. So like Aurelie was mentioning, like generally, are you solving for adults and are you in the age tech industry? And, we recommend less than $1 million in revenue and less than $15 million investments is general guidelines. But as Aurelie was saying, like we have, gone beyond that or, there's some wiggle room there. But that's what we like to share is kind of starting eligibility criteria.
Awesome. So what were some of your key takeaways from CES this year? What got you personally excited when you went on the show floor, maybe outside the AgeTech Collaborative booth?
Yeah. Do you want to go, Sasha? I have a lot to say.
Go ahead. No, you can take it.
So in terms of context, the AgeTech Collaborative has been to CES for several years now. Sasha, was it year 5 or year 6? I'm losing track of the number of years.
Year 5. Yeah.
5. So we've been going for a few years, but it definitely this past CES, we had one of the largest footprint. And, I want to say we really took center stage within the digital health and smart living area of the show. So we, really elevated age tech, which was one of the goals of us coming to CES, showcasing the depth and breadth of what the age tech category can do for people. But you're right, there were a lot of conversations. And I think this year, more than any other years, outside of just the Venetian, which is where we were located, where the digital health and age tech categories were located, it seemed like longevity solutions were really peppered throughout the show floor. I think it was, and also we saw some age tech solutions from industries you don't typically think of doing age tech solutions. I was about to mention L'Oreal. I believe they had a product called the Cell Bioprint, so a device that analyzes the skin, calculating your biological age and, if you have any skin issues, and it's recommending solutions based on your unique skin type. I think we're shying away from just, this is a beauty for you to mask aging, but hey, embrace aging, embrace your wrinkles, and this is the product that's going to work best. So this is the first time I seen or heard anything along those lines. So lots of conversations happen. If I had to resume some of the main takeaways, I would say 3 themes kind of stood out to me in the longevity space. The first one was any smart living, of smart home solutions. And that's in continuity with the 2024 trends we've been noticing. There's adoption, there's budget. People are, at home and looking to stay longer at home. And they're already used to having Wi-Fi, cell phone devices, and they start having other smart home devices at home. So we're seeing a logical continuity in devices. So, preventative care at home through home sensors or other health device. We had My Care in our space that was showcasing solution like that. Any smart medication dispensing tools. So anything that's helping people take care of all their needs at home, whether it's healthcare or preventative health, we start seeing a lot of those solutions. So definitely that was a big focus in the area. The other category or innovation that I think really stood out this year is robotics, and more specifically, the polyfunctionality of robots. So you think robots from a healthcare standpoint, as an example, the exoskeleton to help the recovery process. Or we had a company in our space called Biomotum. They developed intelligent assisting devices to help people walk easier. So if you were recovering from an accident or had some sort of disability, now you have tools that are going to be there to train, help your muscles, build muscles, help walk, be more independent. So it's giving us a glimpse into the future of what caregiving can look like and healthcare could look like in the near future. That was really exciting. But then if you look at robots in terms of companions, so now you start having the social aspect of what robots can do. On stage in our booth, we had the honor of welcoming a robot called Mirokai from Enchanted Tools. It was able to have real-time conversation. It was leveraging artificial intelligence and ChatGPT. So it was interacting with the audience almost real time. They're piloting through hospitals right now. The robot can also deliver medication, but also have conversations. So it was fascinating. It's just innovation. They had a robotic pet. So you start seeing how robots really play an active role and part in our lives. We saw a lot of those at CES, and they really were the talk of the show. The last or trend I'm seeing, and I know it's a buzzword right now, but artificial intelligence really has an opportunity here to deliver customized experience for the end user. So if you think about, to wrap up on this, how Samsung Health was collaborating with us in our space, our booth had different experiences with different personas. So you could experience different point solutions based on either a persona, your personal needs. So if you're an active ager or if you're someone dealing with early stage of cognitive decline, different solutions would speak to you. But what good is it if all those different solution points do not talk to each other? And so with Samsung Project, they have this Samsung Health, they had the Project Care Hub kind of wrapping up our experience and showing how with AI and through a platform, they were able to consolidate all this data from all the different point solutions and make it a holistic view for the person using the devices, but also providing actionable insights for the caregiving team, really helping alleviate and improve outcomes. So you start to see how there's a lot of potential with artificial intelligence. And we just saw OpenAI. They just rolled out Operator. I don't know if you saw this. Now it's an AI agent capable of handling tasks like a human would. So making your appointment, doing tasks for you, exploring the web like a human would do. So opportunities seem really, sky is the limit. And for us to see the ability of maybe some of the hard parts of caregiving and being able to give back valuable time for the caregivers, because you can leverage tools like the ones Samsung Project Care Hub or other AI tools as a personal assistant, while giving a very bespoke experience for the person that is experiencing a need of care, I think is absolutely wonderful. So these are my main takeaways. There was certainly a lot more going on, but I thought those three themes really stood out to me.
And I'll just add one other key thing that we did at CES in line with some of the, like Samsung's one of our enterprises. Another one that we collaborated with at the show was Panasonic Well. We did the Panasonic Well Family Challenge or Wellness Challenge, I believe it was called. Really collaborating to find a holistic wellness solution that could help members of the family improve their overall well-being. So that could be in solutions that could improve your sleep or encourage more activity. It could be things like a game that helps connect people in the household together, or something that helps ease mental burden for those that are doing those caregiving tasks. So we helped with kind of the process of sourcing companies for that. And it was actually up to $1 million in prize money that, Panasonic was managing most of that component. And so there were 5 winners, and luckily 2 of our companies were part of that, which was great to see. But the winning company was one named Hearth, which I haven't had a lot of time to dive into yet, but that was exciting to see some funding going towards companies in this space. And we're just starting to see large enterprise players, these products and creating these opportunities for companies solving for older adults, which is great to see.
Absolutely. And speaking of funding, that is one of the challenges that early stage startups face. And we touched upon this briefly, but it would be great if you could elaborate on how AgeTech Collaborative startups can get your assistance to access more funding resources.
Yeah. So we do provide opportunities for funding through AgeTech Collaborative itself. We're not a fund by any means, but we do provide opportunities for small investment. That's after the Accelerator portion of what we do. So there's that opportunity. And then we have a whole category of investors that are part of our ecosystem. So Aurelie and her team are doing an amazing job of finding like who has capital to deploy, who is, and it also be companies that are funds that are new and raising funds, but want to be more knowledgeable in this space. They want to just be in the know of startups and start building their network there. So the work that my team does is more on that side of the house, where we're connecting startups with investors for potential funding opportunities. It is a challenge, as you mentioned, to get some of that growth capital, but I'm optimistic this year that we'll see more stories in that area. And there's, of course, the non-dilutive grant opportunities that, we all know the National Institute on Aging team. They are amazing. And then there's also some like local opportunities in states like Massachusetts that they do challenges throughout the year that provide grant money as well as placement in what they call sandboxes across clinical environments. The group I'm referring to is Mass Digital Health. That's a test bed in the collaborative. And then there's also like A2 Collective, which is in collaboration with the National Institute on Aging. You may know them, Karen, but they also they do a challenge with grant money and placement in what they call a collaboratory. It's like an academic institution at, I think it's Penn, Hopkins, and Mass AI Tech. So it is, we're constantly trying to figure out ways to provide opportunities for that. And I think we're starting to see more progress there in terms of funding. I don't know, or anything else to add there?
No, that's great. I think you hit the nail on the head. The beauty of the work Sasha and her team is doing and the entire department is doing, we're really there to help companies scale and grow. So you leverage them, utilize them as your partners, and can, see beyond just, hey, we connected you with one investor type. There's an area of different opportunities. If one door is closed, that doesn't mean that there might not be 10 others that would be the right fit for you. From a biz dev perspective, when me and my team go outside and try to, educate people on the work we're doing, or investors, the VC, CVCs, we really look at articulating also how this industry is growing so quickly and is so needed. And it's easy for people to resonate. Everybody has an aging parent or has experienced an aging family member. They're thinking about themselves. So I think on a human level, people completely resonate with that. But then we can also articulate some of the opportunities with like I said, the research that AARP put together. The longevity space currently domestically and internationally is evaluated at $45 trillion in economic activity. And population is aging. That's no secret. So if you look at the next 10 to 15 years, this number is going to triple. So we'll also try to show for, businesses and also investors that there's a lot of opportunities and solutions in that space. Investment they take time for companies and investors to really build a relationship with the founder, with the technology. A lot of them really want to also be partners with the startups. So they just don't want to throw their money. I think we saw a little bit of that behavior in 2020, and then it became back to a more normal landscape in terms of investment opportunities. But the companies are looking, the investors are looking. They're really leveraging the collaborative as well to keep the pulse on the innovation. And we really have, I don't want to say an easy time to convince them that this is the industry to be in, but they really are genuinely interested in diving into all the different aspects of AgeTech. So it's a good time to be in this industry, really.
Absolutely. Yeah. I always say that this is the most exciting industry to be in this day and age. The
And it's
intersection of
fun.
technology and aging. Yes, it
There's a
is
lot of
fun.
fun.
And everyone like is super supportive of one another. So it's a great place to be at. both personally and professionally. So I wonder, we're recording this conversation in late January 2025. What's in store for the AgeTech Collaborative in 2025 and beyond? What can we expect?
Yeah, I can jump in. So, continuing to source the best and brightest age tech startups that we can find is always going to be a priority for us. So some of the areas that I think will be important for us, and also ones that I'm passionate about personally, solutions that are in the cognitive or brain health space. Mild cognitive impairment can affect 10 million people in the US. And so we have a number of companies in that area. We're doing a lot of programming on health, cognitive health. That's one that we'll continue to focus on. Women's health is one that's near and dear to my heart, and that we're starting to see a lot more solutions in this space and also join our portfolio. So 90% of women 35 plus experience one or more menopause symptoms. That was from an AARP report from 2024. We had a company called Perry at our booth at CES. I don't know if you've connected with them, Karen, but they're a digital wellness platform that helps support women through perimenopause and beyond. It's a really cool one. We also had Ember Labs, which is a wearable. I'm sure you're familiar with them, but they have a way to heat or cool your body by the push of a button on the wearable itself. If you're experiencing hot flashes or could also help improve your sleep. So women's health will be one area that I think we'll continue to focus on. And then, health, of course, like managing chronic conditions will be important as well. We're going to continue to build and grow value for the age tech ecosystem. We may introduce new things throughout the year. That practice is there to help. So I think we'll start to see a lot more usage of that. And then our events will continue to be a cornerstone of all that we do. So we actually started our own events, producing our own events. So we have the ATC Summit coming up in the spring. We would love to see you there, Karen, if you're ever able to make it. I know it's a long trip for you, but yeah, that'll be in the spring. And that's like for our ecosystem specifically to get together. We started doing these things called Age Tech one-on-ones, which it's kind of like speed dating, but not really. It's just quick, rapid meetings that you can have with others across the ecosystem. So trying to help support more of those funding challenges that we talked about, or inspiring more pilots, or it could be just founder to founder connections as well. So we have the ATC Summit. We'll have, we'll have CES again is always going to be a strategic event. As Aurelie was talking about, that's technically January 2026, but we've already booked our space for next year and we work all year long on it. It's a year-long project. So that's going to be a high priority for us. And we also go to a number of events and bring companies to events like Vive in February. We'll be at HLTH in October. And then, of course, we love going to Mary Furlong's events. So we'll plan to be at her Venture Summit in June as well. So right now, that's kind of our slate of what we're focusing on and getting companies into the ecosystem, as well as, them get a platform at some of these events.
Sounds like you have your hands full.
We're busy.
Busy is good. So that was actually my last question. Is there anything else you would like to add? Any call to action to any startups or entrepreneurs watching or listening to this podcast?
If you want to learn more about all the work we do, you're looking to apply, whether you're a startup or a non-startup, you can go on our website, agetechcollaborative.org, and then the apply today or apply now section. It will kind of explain a little bit all the different type of companies that are part of the ecosystem. So like the one that resonates the most with what you're looking to do and who you are. And then a member of our team will be happy to reach out and answer any questions you may have.
Yeah. And I'll just say thank you, Karen, for all the work that you do in this space. Your age tech market map is such a valuable resource. I always refer to it throughout every year. I look forward to seeing when it comes out. And also your book, Age Tech Revolution. Once I got that, I was highlighting a million things all throughout the book. And so, yeah, thank you for all that you do for this industry in this space.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for your kind words. And thank you for joining me on the show today. It was an absolute pleasure chatting with you. And I can't wait to see where the AgeTech Collaborative bring the ecosystem in 2025. Because, the saying, the a rising tide floats all boats. And I feel like the AARP's AgeTech Collaborative is a huge boat that basically helps create ripple waves that push forward the entire ecosystem. So I'm very excited about all the work that you're doing.
Thank you. So are we.
Thank you. If you enjoyed this video, you might want to check out my conversation with Michael Scaff, the CIO of Sequoia Living. He has been on both sides of the equation, both working in startups and in executive roles within the elder care industry. I'll put the link either here or here. Until next time, stay humble, stay curious.